All right, yeah! Thank God for fantasy football. I'm Buster Brown, and the show, well, it's called Redemption Rehab. And today, we're talking about the rookie quarterbacks coming into the NFL in the 2023 NFL season. We're going to show you their highlights, we're going to show you their statistics, we're going to show you their average draft position in your rookie fantasy drafts, and we're going to show you where they're going to go in your redraft leagues later this year. So buckle up, get out your popcorn, and let's head over to the chalkboard
and check out the facts.
Okay, here we are on our website that we think everybody should go take a look at is drafttech.com. They're going to rank the quarterbacks where they think they should go in the draft in this upcoming season, starting out with C.J. Stroud of Ohio State. Draft Tech think he's their number one quarterback, so let's take a look at him. C.J. Stroud out of Ohio State, 6'3", 214 pounds, redshirt sophomore, so he's only about 21 years old. Draft Tech has him ranked at number 2 overall in this draft, and let's take a look at his highlights and his statistics, and you decide what you think. C.J. Stroud played 3 years at Ohio State. He's 6'3", 214-pound, redshirt sophomore. Draft Tech has him ranked number 2 overall. At Ohio State, he started 2 seasons. He was a 2-time Heisman finalist. In 2021, he finished 4th. In 2022, he finished 3rd. So he's got the resume. He's a 2-time Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year at quarterback, and he's a Big Ten Freshman of the Year. He was a 2-time first-team All-Big Ten among the coaches and the media. He was a team captain. He was a finalist for the Walter Camp, the Maxwell Award, the Davy Bryan Award, besides the Heisman. He set 16 Ohio State records and 3 Big Ten records. He threw for 41 TDs in 2022, and he threw for 44 TDs in 2021. He's the first ever to do that back-to-back seasons in the Big Ten with 40 touchdowns. In 2021, he was thrown to the likes of Garrett Wilson of the Jets, Chris Olave of the New Orleans Saints, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and this year, and Marvin Harrison. So he had some really good wide receivers to throw the ball to. In the 2 years that he started at Ohio State, his rushing attempts weren't very good. He's not a dual threat quarterback. He only had 80 rushes for 136 yards. That's a 1.7 yard average, and he only scored 1 TD. So you can expect C.J. Stroud to stay in the pocket. He had 830 passing attempts with 575 completions for a 69.3 percentage. We want it to be around 70, and 69.3 is very good. 85 touchdowns and a quarterback rate of a whopping 182.4. We want it to be 170. He surpassed that, and he's at 182.4. You won't see another quarterback today that might have those kinds of numbers. Those of you in the Dynasty leagues, the rookie average draft position, ADP, is top 5, so you could see why people like C.J. Stroud. He's 6'3", 214 pounds. He's going to put on 10 pounds in the next couple years, probably mostly muscle. So this kid's going to be playing at 6'3", 225, 230 pounds. And he hasn't even developed his rushing game, which he said he wants to do. Let's go take a look at some other quarterbacks we like this year, starting with this guy, Bryce Young out of Alabama. He's only 5'10", 204. You can see the discrepancy in height and weight from C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. That's a 5-inch difference. The weight, I'm not sure Bryce Young could put on a lot more weight, but he is a Heisman Trophy winner. So let's take a look at his stats and stuff. He's a junior coming out of college, out of Alabama, and Draft Tech has him ranked number 3 overall. This kid's got talent, man. He lit it up at Alabama, winning a Heisman Trophy in 2021. So let's go over and take a look at his statistics and why everybody thinks this kid's going to be special and why he's going to be a top 2 pick in this year's NFL draft. Bryce Young's 5'10", 204-pound junior. He played 3 years at Alabama. His first year, he backed up Mac Jones of the New England Patriots. In 2021, he came out and he was on fire. He actually won the Heisman Trophy in 2021, along with the Maxwell Award, along with College Player of the Year, along with SEC Offensive Player of the Year, along with First Team All-American. I mean, in 2021, he had an amazing year. He came back because he had to. The NFL draft only allows a certain age restriction, so 2022, he comes back. Again, he was a finalist for the Maxwell Award, a finalist for the Davey O'Brien Award, and a finalist for the Walter Camp Award, and he finished 6th in the Heisman race. Another fantastic year for Bryce Young. In 2 years as a starter, he had 927 pass attempts, completing 611 with a 65% completion rate. We'd like to see that around 70. He did pass in those 2 years at Alabama for 8,200 yards with 79 touchdowns and a quarterback rate of 165. We want to see that closer to the 170. He didn't rush the ball much. His rushing yards were 139 attempts for 162 yards, a 1.2 yard average with 7 touchdowns. His dynasty rookie average draft position in your dynasty leagues is top 5. The question is, can he hold up over time at that small frame? He doesn't play at the combine. He weighed in at 204. He's 5'10". He's not going to grow any taller, but the question is, what weight does he play at? In college, it was around 190. In the pros, it's going to have to be a lot more. It's going to have to be 205 where he weighed in at the combine, or maybe even 210, 215. These fragile quarterbacks that are smaller take a beating. So I think Bryce Young's going to have an amazing career. It's how long can he hold up when you compare him to other small quarterbacks? And that's the question here. Let's take a look at some other quarterbacks. This next guy here, Anthony Richardson, this is a real athlete. He went to the NFL Combine, and this guy tore it up. We talked about the RAS score, relative athletic score. He scored a 10. He set records in competition at the Combine, like the vertical jump, the long jump. He almost set a record in the 40-yard dash, which this kid was a 4.4. There might have been one other quarterback that was lower than that. He's 6'4", 244 pounds. I mean, 6'4", 244. Look at the weight difference here. 30 more pounds heavier than everybody else in the draft who's going to get taken ahead of him. And, you know, Draft Tech has him ranked at number 6 overall. So he's going to go in the first round. But do his stats measure up to being a first-round top 10 pick? Let's head over to the chalkboard and check out the facts. Anthony Richardson, like I said, was 6'4", 245-pound, redshirt sophomore. He's ranked high on Draft Tech at number 6, and he's a dual threat. Not only can he throw the ball, he can run the ball. At 6'4", 244 pounds, he's like a huge running back. At the Combine where he worked out, he ran a 4.4 40-yard dash at 244 pounds. That's amazing. He threw the ball well at the Combine. He's an athlete, and he set records at the Combine that we mentioned. Things like the long jump and the vertical leap, and almost the 40-yard dash. His statistics in 2022 are he started 12 games. He threw 393 passes, completing 215 for 2,549 yards. His completion percentage was only 54%. We'd like to see that closer to 70. He only threw for 17 touchdowns. His quarterback rate was 131. Well below the 170 we're looking for a first-round pick. His stats weren't very good as far as throwing the ball. He is a dual-threat quarterback. And one thing he did well in college at Florida was his rushing. In 2022, he had 103 attempts for 654 yards. That's a 6.3 average. That's amazing. With another 9 touchdowns. So he did have 26 touchdowns his senior year. His career rushing touchdowns are 12, and his rookie average draft position in your dynasty leagues is top 10, first round pick. There's real risk here in taking Anthony Richardson in your rookie drafts. He's going to go in the first round, higher the risk, higher the reward kind of thing. I do like him, but it remains to see who takes him in the NFL draft because it's mid-March and there's a lot of risk here. But if you somehow missed out on him, we've got some other quarterbacks we like this guy here, Will Levis of Kentucky. A big guy, if you look at him, 6'4", 229-pound redshirt senior, meaning he played a long time. He's ranked number 12 overall on Draft Tech, but he's fallen a little bit. He did have a workout recently, and it was average, where C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young tore it up. Anthony Richardson in mid-March has not had his workout yet, but he's going to have it soon. Will Levis had everybody there. Carolina was there. I'm sure Houston was there, those teams. Unfortunately, Indianapolis didn't have anybody there. He is going to go in the first round of this year's draft. Let's take a look at some of his statistics and what makes him so special. Will Levis is a dual threat quarterback, meaning he can throw the ball and rush the ball. He's 6'4", 229 pounds. He's a redshirt senior. This guy's one smart character. He played 3 years at Penn State, where he graduated, and then he went on to Kentucky, where he played another 2 years. He earned his finance degree in 3 years at Penn State, then transferred, where he was the 2-time captain for Kentucky. He counted for 54 total TDs, 43 passing in 2 seasons at Kentucky. He threw for 5,233 yards, completing 479 of his 738 passes for a completion rate of 65% and a quarterback rating of 149.9. We want that to be around 170. He's also a dual threat quarterback. He rushed the ball 312 times for 742 yards. That's a 2.3 yard average. And another 11 TDs just while at Kentucky. His average draft position in your dynasty rookie drafts is top 15. He's probably going to go in the second round of your dynasty leagues, and we're probably not taking him in any of your redraft leagues. I could see taking C.J. Stroud. I could see taking Bryce Young late in your drafts as a backup quarterback, possibly Anthony Richardson in your redraft leagues. But once we get down here to Will Levis, I'm not 100% sure he's ready for the NFL. It may take him 2 years or more to get to the point where you're drafting him in your redraft leagues, which are those leagues you do right before the season starts. But let's take a look at my sleeper pick. I tell you what, this kid right here, Hendon Hooker of Tennessee, 6'3", 217-pound redshirt senior, so he's played for several years. Draft Tech has a big difference. You can see Will Levis at number 12, down here at number 72 overall. Had Hendon Hooker not hurt his knee his senior year in November, this kid may have won the Heisman, but he did. He got hurt. He had an amazing senior season. Let's check out his stats, and you tell me what you think. Hendon Hooker played 5 years. He's 6'3", 217-pound redshirt senior, so he's older. Draft Tech has him ranked at number 72. He played a couple of years over at Virginia Tech, where Virginia Tech likes to run the ball. So as a dual threat quarterback, he developed his skills as a running back and quarterback at Virginia Tech. Then he transferred to Tennessee. Tennessee likes to throw the ball, so he developed his quarterback skills at Tennessee. Unfortunately, a knee injury ended his 2022 season. He might be ready for the 2023 season, which has him falling in the NFL draft to a second round or third round pick. Someone's going to get a really good quarterback, and I really like him. He was 5th in the Heisman Trophy voting in 2022. He was the SEC Offensive Player of the Year, according to the Associated Press and the coaches and the USA Today, beating out players like Bryce Young for Player of the Year. In 2022, he was all SEC quarterback, according to the Associated Press, coaches, and the USA Today. He was a finalist for the Heisman, a finalist for the Maxwell Award, finalist for the Walter Camp Award, finalist for the Manning Award, finalist for the Johnny United Award, a finalist for the Davey O'Brien Award, passing in a 4-year period, 2 with Virginia Tech and 2 with Tennessee. Hendon Hooker completed 632 of his 944 attempts for an average percentage rate of 66.9%. We'd like to see that around 70. He passed for 8,974 yards with 80 touchdowns and a quarterback rate of 172.2. We'd like to see that 170 or above, and he did that at 172.2, so he is accurate. Over his 4 years rushing the ball, because he's a dual threat quarterback, he had 513 attempts for 2,022 yards. That's a 4-point average. He had another 24 TDs rushing the ball in those 4 years, which makes him a total dual threat quarterback when healthy. His average draft position in your dynasty leagues is probably around number 40. We'll see where he gets drafted in the NFL draft coming up in a month. He might not be ready for the start of the season. That's the problem. Otherwise, this kid might be a first-round pick, but he's going to be taken in the second or third round of the NFL draft. But I really like this kid. A few years ago, we took a beating when we told you we really like Jalen Hurts. You know, we've been doing this show for 5 years, and when Jalen Hurts come out, we told you we liked him. We thought he was going to be a really good quarterback. You guys beat me up. Well, we like Hendon Hooker. I mean, Jalen Hurts is going in that second and third round of all your redraft leagues, and he's going to have a great year this year. Went to the Super Bowl last year, so 2023 is going to be a big year. But Hendon Hooker, once he's healthy, hopefully he goes to a team like Minnesota with Justin Jefferson or something, so he could sit for a year behind Kirk Cousins. And if that happens, man, this kid's going to be worth taking in your dynasty league, because I really like him a lot. I'm going to give you some other guys you got to keep an eye on. We're going to do this quick because we're trying to keep this video short. I'd like Tanner McGee. His stats, 6'6", 231-pound junior. He's fallen a little bit. He's ranked number 91, but didn't exactly perform as well as people thought he would at the Combine. He's a smart kid when you go to Stanford. His stats are simple. In 2 years, he threw for 5,336 yards. He threw for 28 touchdowns. So in 2 years, that's not saying much. He had a quarterback grade of 131. Draft Tech likes him. I'm not so sure about him. I wish him the best. When we come back, we're going to take a look at some other sleeper picks you should keep an eye on, mostly for your dynasty leagues. So let's check out those guys real quick. Okay, here we are. Here's Hendon Hooker. Here's Tanner McGee we just talked about. I don't know how you get away not talking about Jake Henner out of Fresno State. 6 foot, 207-pound, redshirt senior. Draft Tech hacks him ranked at 109. So he's going to go in like the third day of the draft. This guy's your typical Brock Purdy guy, where he gets drafted in the rounds 4 through 7 towards the end of the draft. And he comes in as a backup quarterback and probably plays well. He doesn't run the ball at all, but he stands in the pocket and he's an accurate quarterback. He was an MVP at the Senior Bowl for where all the college players coming in the NFL get to go play. So this guy has some true talent, so keep an eye on where Jake Henner gets drafted in the NFL draft. This guy right here, Max Duga, man, he has a resume. I mean, this kid was second in the Heisman. He's out of TCU. He's 6'1", 270-pound senior, so he's been around for around 4 years. He's fallen off a bit here, dropped 80 to 221, so he's going to be like a late round draft pick in the NFL draft. He's not going to get taken. Neither is Jake Henner or Tanner McGee in any of your redraft leagues. But you should keep an eye on him for your dynasty leagues, because the minute this guy gets a chance, he might prove people wrong, because he had a resume. I mean, he was second in the Heisman. He won the Johnny Unitas Award, and that's a big deal. He won the Davey O'Brien Award as the best college quarterback. He also won the Earl Campbell Award for that's the best college player in Texas. Big 12 player of the year. I mean, that's a big-time conference, and he was the player of the year. He was first team all Big 12. So why people are putting this guy down here, where 220 people don't even get drafted in the NFL, they've got him not even being drafted. I kind of think you better keep an eye on him in your dynasty leagues, because this kid might be a player someday. Another guy that's not getting any respect is a two-time national champion, Stetson Bennett at Georgia, 5'11", 192-pound redshirt senior, so he's been around a while. And they don't have him being drafted at pick 231. I can tell you right now, man, this kid won 2 national championships, and the guys at Georgia loved him. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get drafted late in the NFL draft, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him as a backup to a major quarterback and get some playing time someday. So keep him on your radar. And this last guy here, man, Dorian Thompson-Robinson over there at UCLA, 6'2", 203, redshirt senior, so he's been around for many years. They don't have him getting drafted at number 281, but he threw for over 10,700 yards at UCLA. He had 88 touchdowns. He was the guy at UCLA. So keep an eye on Dorian Thompson-Robinson, see where he goes, and he might be somebody you want to keep an eye on over the course of his career. Anyways, that's all we have for today's show. I'm Buster Brown. The show is called Redemption Rehab. Good luck.